Dems pop their dentures when Schiff finally gets censored. And so the House condemns the lies of the man with the zombie eyes. Last night, the House voted on party lines to censure Adam Schiff for promoting the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, which was as believable as Brian Kilmeade getting fan mail. 2 for 2. Schiff becomes only the 26th member ever to be censured, but to his credit, he's still the only member to have a 12-inch neck.
Adam Schiff entered the room like he was stepping into another routine television appearance. Calm, collected, and ready for predictable back-and-forth conversation. He had no idea what was actually waiting for him, a full-blown ambush, with Greg Gutfeld sitting there like a hunter who already spotted his prey. Schiff showed up prepared to talk policy details, but Gutfeld arrived armed with razor-sharp wit designed to tear everything apart. Schiff relied on the same political playbook he's followed his entire career, but Gutfeld tossed those rules out the window and transformed the whole interaction into chaos Schiff couldn't manage.
Poor Adam. He really thought he had him. Well, we've talked about who won the impeachment trial. Now let's talk about who didn't. As I've said before, don't think the Dems aren't going to stop trying to find dirt on Trump. They'll look anywhere. Hell, they'll go to a local high school if they thought they'd find the goods there. Right, Adam?
Schiff kept drowning the conversation in committee references and polished quotations, while Gutfeld was actively burning down the entire setup with jokes that landed harder than any legal document. Schiff desperately tried pulling the discussion back toward institutions and procedures, but Gutfeld, clearly having fun, swatted it all away like someone playing with an overmatched rival. The power gap was undeniable. This wasn't even close to a fair debate. It was a complete public destruction happening in crystal clear quality for the world to see. The brutal reality. Schiff genuinely believed he was winning, dropping his usual practice lines while completely missing that nobody in the audience was buying it. Then Gutfeld struck with surgical accuracy, landing a blow so freezing and brutal that Schiff just stood there, stunned like someone who suddenly understood he'd wandered into the wrong building and become the main target of a roasting session he couldn't run from.
Unfortunately for Adam, not even Mitt Romney could help him. Everyone knew there weren't enough votes to convict. Even the media, their only way out of this hell, pretending that Mitt was a hero.
This was a profile in courage and that there's still room for mavericks here in Washington.
It felt historic indeed. It will cement Senator Romney's legacy.
Romney stood in the well and he seemed to be reaching for the ghost of John McCain.
The Mitt Romney decision is a fascinating one for this reason. He is now the president of the Republican resistance to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If this breakdown gets you, smash that subscribe button now. This wasn't supposed to be a debate. It was meant to showcase competing perspectives, but what actually happened was a devastating exposure that left Schiff completely vulnerable. After decades in the political arena, he looked like a confused bureaucrat who accidentally carried a formal document into what turned out to be a street brawl. He strutted in acting like an overly confident understudy who thought he owned the spotlight, packed with calculated pauses, exaggerated facial movements, and monologues so excessively practiced they felt like episodes of a boring legal drama nobody asked for. The result was a display that collapsed from its own fakeness, hollow performance tactics, and reused mannerisms that only proved how totally out of touch he was.
Is while it lasts, Mitt. In 2 weeks, they'll go back to hating you, trust me. And you'll have to find someone to commiserate with, someone who understands rejection. Right, Adam?
And now Adam Schiff FaceTimes Joe Biden.
Hunter, is that you?
It's Adam Schiff.
Never heard of her. Look, I once ate a giant bag of rock salt at the Daytona 500. Wasn't even a problem.
500. That's a number, right?
Schiff fell back on his standard playbook, acting like he possessed explosive information about to rock everyone's world, except nothing ever showed up. It was pure hype without any payoff, just another bloated display from someone who has dedicated years pretending to be a champion of justice without producing the results he keeps advertising. He has evolved into the political equivalent of a package tracking notification promising arrival in 5 minutes. Alert after alert, constant hype, but the delivery never happens. And exactly like that missing package, people are left checking their phones, getting frustrated, and finally understanding the big reveal was never real to begin with, which makes Schiff's theatrical act look more pathetic every single time he rolls it out again.
Yeah, what'd you think I was gonna say? Being censored, which is basically an official serious scolding, is a punishment just below being expelled from Congress. But when Speaker McCarthy made the announcement, Democrats did what they do best, mindlessly scream hysterical nonsense.
The resolution adopted. Without objection, the motion to consider is laid on the table. House will be in order. The House will be in order. I have all night.
I have all night.
The annoyance builds as people begin wondering if any of it had substance from the start, because Schiff's believability doesn't just fade, it vanishes completely. He isn't someone exposing corruption, he's a movie preview for a film that never gets made. For years, his so-called major revelations have been nothing except the identical narrative wearing a different title, never-ending loops of shocking accusations that crumble into dust. Schiff has morphed into the political form of bait-and-switch content, screaming headlines with zero follow-through, repackaged panic marketed as urgent developments. Every congressional session he controls promises explosive action, yet consistently fizzles out like fireworks someone forgot to ignite. And even his dedicated followers quietly recognize the energy died years ago. But that reality never slows him down. He still marches onto camera acting like he's dropping classified bombshells, when truthfully he's just rewrapping yesterday's disaster in today's talking points.
Sure that we uncover the full details about the conditionality of either the military aid or that meeting with the Ukrainian president. It may not be necessary to take steps that might reveal the whistleblower's identity to do that.
Not necessary so much for transparency, but like everything, the Dems haven't thought this through. So not only are you going to impeach Trump, you're going to do it in secret, in the dark, reversing an election based on hearsay from some anonymous guy you will never ever see who has ties to Democrats.
Schiff's urgent predictions now feel more like scary campfire tales told by someone still acting like he's running the show, even though everyone else already left. Then Greg Gutfeld enters. No prepared scripts, no fake intensity, just a knowing smile and verbal weapons locked and loaded. If Schiff represents the exhausted investigator in a bargain bin political thriller chasing nothing, Gutfeld is the sharp-minded analyst who destroys the entire charade by making fun of it. While Schiff holds his stern look, performing as if he's uncovering a national crisis, Gutfeld approaches the situation like perfect joke setup, and the crowd reacts immediately. Schiff wants panic, Gutfeld brings ridicule, and in modern politics, ridicule destroys faster than fear ever managed. Schiff's threats arrive with the impact of wet tissue paper, overused, dismissed, and laughably weak, while Gutfeld cuts clean through with humor that reveals everything Schiff attempts to package nicely. Watching it happen felt like witnessing someone drag a briefcase stuffed with paperwork into a roast session armed with overdramatic silences. A forced, believe me, I have insider information look and the identical tired act he's been selling forever.
Wouldn't shut up for a party named after democracy itself. They do sure hate it when people vote on stuff. But he did have to go to the front of the chamber known as the Well. Think of it as like, you know, like a walk of shame, and not the kind I did this morning leaving Hemmer's place. I only had one shoe. To discuss this further, we go to the man himself. An audience, no booing. We are a respectful show here. Please welcome Congressman Schiff. How are you?
Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you, oh yeah.
Gutfeld didn't require charts or slick presentations to destroy Schiff. He deployed biting comedy and an accurate radar for detecting nonsense. While Schiff grabbed onto his meticulously arranged performance, Gutfeld shredded it using punchlines that struck harder than any television monologue. No visual aids, no citations, just targeted humor that peeled away Schiff's serious politician mask and converted him into the exact joke he always worked to prevent becoming. His whole reputation depended on people acting like he was the legitimate authority present, but once the audience began laughing instead of agreeing, the fantasy crumbled instantly. Schiff resembled a stage magician whose secret got revealed mid-performance, desperately gesturing and attempting recovery while everyone stared at the wires behind the show. He arrived seeking power, but departed looking like someone so completely humiliated you almost expected the segment to finish with applause and credits. And honestly, he made it simpler than he understood. After years of hyping explosions that never detonated, stories that vanished immediately, and leaks that evaporated under examination, the only thing he has reliably destroyed is the public's willingness to listen.
We knew it would be bad when the Republicans took over, but it's far worse than we expected.
Cue the violins, people.
But can he promise you this?
But I can promise you this. This is not the end of my fight for our democracy. This is just the beginning. Please join us and contribute today. Thank you.
Here's my question. How much will it cost for you not to run?
The harder Schiff pushed his theatrical approach, the larger the bullseye on his reputation became, practically begging Gutfeld to attack repeatedly. And Greg didn't require preparation or talking points. Schiff was handing him perfect ammunition without realizing it. Imagine this. Schiff mid-speech with that recognizable "I possess secrets you don't face," attempting to project the seriousness of a tough instructor. But instead of silence, the room exploded with laughter, deafening and uncontrollable. That's Gutfeld's advantage. He ignores Schiff's rigid rule book and reverses the entire dynamic instead. While Schiff arrives with documents packed with empty jargon, vague references to classified materials, and a frozen expression unchanged since 2017, Gutfeld appears with mockery and verbal destruction, converting the encounter into something resembling a comedy roast rather than political discussion. Schiff, trapped in the center, had zero protection against that level of constant ridicule. And it was obvious.
That and the fact that Schiff hasn't blinked since 1992. And he didn't take the news so well. The disgraced Democrat went on TikTok to complain. Behold.
Hello, I'm Congressman Adam Schiff with some troubling news. Today, Kevin McCarthy removed me from the House Intelligence Committee, all for doing my job, for holding Trump accountable and standing up to the extreme MAGA Republicans.
Nobody defeats a joke with a presentation, and nobody out serious is someone who refuses to take them seriously whatsoever. The instant the laughter erupted, Schiff's carefully constructed reputation collapsed right before his eyes, and the devastating part was, he remained completely unaware. He continued reading from the screen, repeating the identical exhausted speech like he was still commanding primetime news coverage. Every additional word only strengthened Gutfeld's attack, transforming the segment into a live meltdown. It resembled watching someone attempt extinguishing flames using fuel, insisting the growing inferno meant his strategy was working, when actually it was the destruction of everything he was desperately protecting. Schiff couldn't adapt. His entire identity depends on appearing serious, and once that seriousness breaks, there's absolutely nothing remaining except a politician in formal wear desperately clinging to importance. His credibility burned in the background, and that's precisely why public confidence in him has evaporated. After all this time, he never evolved, never learned, just recycled the identical attitude and the identical dramatic alerts that nobody trusts anymore.
And the irony is superb. He went crying to mommy on an app run by Chinese commies. Congressman Adam Schiff announced this morning he's running for U.S. Senate in California, which is guaranteed to boost U-Haul rentals headed for Texas. He unveiled the highly polished and produced political ad right on the heels of getting booted from the House Intel Committee. Coincidence? I think not.
Schiff appeared convinced that saying the same things repeatedly would eventually make noise transform into facts. But Gutfeld feeds on that stale repetition, and he demolished it effortlessly. He didn't simply ridicule Schiff's performance. He dissected it section by section, exposing the constant reruns, the guaranteed bombshells that always vanished, and the reused controversies Schiff has been marketing since the Obama administration. Gutfeld's comedy became a reflection, forcing the audience to notice how long they'd been served the identical plot under fresh packaging. Schiff has been guaranteeing history-changing discoveries since the days when Facebook was purely a platform for vacation photos, and absolutely none of them materialized. So when he attempted summoning that familiar voice of command, he didn't understand the room had already moved forward. He imagined he was performing in a political suspense film when the show had already ended and he was stuck starring in a roast he never consented to. The crushing truth. He delivered a lecture to a destruction and fooled himself into thinking he was dominating, even as the audience's laughter stripped away the final fragments of his once respectable image.
We were having hearings on impeachment while the coronavirus was exploding. We talked about that virus in green rooms, but we had to do this impeachment story. We had to show these hearings It's all on him, man. He's got to go. They got to investigate him. They got to hold him accountable. I'm not going to say he should go to prison, but my evil twin will say he should go away to prison for a very long time.
By the conclusion, Schiff was simply a politician in business attire pretending to have influence, and every wave of laughter from the viewers hammered another stake into whatever credibility he imagined he still possessed. Once people find the ridicule more entertaining than the content, the battle is finished, and that's precisely what occurred. Schiff entered like an experienced authority and exited resembling the punchline to an exhausted political gag. Gutfeld didn't require lengthy arguments or mountains of proof. He simply presented a reflection showing years of Schiff's predictable dramatics and meaningless threats. Schiff believed he was performing a powerful saga, but Gutfeld revealed it as a discontinued soap opera rerun nobody wanted to stream. And once your performance is publicly dismantled in front of millions, there's no comeback. Every dramatic silence Schiff attempts now will trigger memories of the night he transformed into internet comedy, and every guarantee of proof will resonate with all the instances it never materialized. His standing didn't just suffer damage, it exploded on broadcast television.
Done for Adam Schiff, because he created 3 years of a massive fallacy that did so much damage to this country and made us miss probably one of the most important stories of our lifetime. We were having hearings on impeachment while the coronavirus was exploding.
Schiff is now recognized less as a powerful player and more as the politician who got roasted so completely that the laughter haunts him like a permanent stain he can't remove. The entire confrontation felt less like a political exchange and more like a courtroom moment where the outcome was determined before the first word was spoken. For years, Schiff constructed an identity of himself as the dutiful protector of democratic values, the responsible voice. But Gutfeld stepped in, launched a few brutal jokes, and shattered that identity within moments. In seconds, Schiff's refined image disintegrated into something that belonged in a sketch comedy show. Instead of appearing like a courageous defender exposing threats, he looked like someone screaming about a terrifying beast in the closet, while everyone else clearly saw nothing except an old jacket hanging there. Gutfeld didn't just demolish Schiff's arguments, he converted them into a comedy performance so unforgettable that the jokes will survive longer than the speeches, trapping Schiff as a setup line in conversations he never intended to create.
Yesterday's hearings, I had so much fun. I'm back, baby. Pretty soon I'll have my high-back chairman's chair again.
I don't understand. You're happy I didn't realize you were, don't you realize that you were censored by a majority in Congress?
Yes! Isn't it wonderful? I'm very pro-censorship. Censorship. Oh my, that's hard to say. The point is, the cameras are on me again, and this time I'm ready for my close-up, Mr.
The encounter revealed how completely outdated the traditional playbook of political performance has become. Schiff still depends on the same exhausted strategy, assuming a harsh tone and a grave expression are sufficient to demand respect, but that trick no longer works. He's not unique. Countless politicians recycle fear-based language, suggest secret intelligence, and expect the public swallows the act, but humor slices straight through those manipulations. Gutfeld demonstrated exactly why. Laughter overpowers staged anger, and Schiff became the clearest proof of what happens when a career constructed on dramatic alerts encounters a challenge it can't fake through. In one interaction, he transformed from democracy's guardian to evidence that recycled drama implodes the moment someone is brave enough to laugh at it.
Troubled by this. Even though I know it's not real, I'm bothered. Finally, Congressman, you're running for an open U.S. Senate seat in California. What's your message to voters who might be skeptical of your agenda?
I think you mean my agenda. That's how I say it now. I like the hard G, because that's what I'll do. Do you like impeachment? That's my agenda. Vote for me and I'll do it agenda. And I have one man to thank for all of this. The Orange Man himself. If you excuse me, I'm gonna go celebrate with a glass of wine.
After this battle, Schiff didn't exit as the commanding presence he imagined. He left as a living joke, defeated by someone who didn't even need to work hard. More than any probe, headline, or political maneuver, this public humiliation is the moment that will haunt him, and no quantity of rehearsed speeches can erase it. In the end, Gutfeld's ridicule penetrated deeper than any of Schiff's warnings, and the image remaining isn't of a powerful legislator, but of someone reduced to content for comedy shows. If you loved watching this destruction happen, make sure to smash that subscribe button and stick around, because moments like this demonstrate that when the performance ends, the truth doesn't require drama, it only needs a punchline.